a second. I see something a little different I want to update. I'm gonna change this. All right, you see how I am right now? Pretty cool, huh? Getting all menacing. Straight on. Oh, I'm blown out. Raccoon eyes. Oh, I'm about to get some real scary shadows. Wait for it. All right, enough playing around. Today we're talking about lighting. And a little bit about bokeh as well. I'll explain, I guess, in a bit. The screen actually works better.
Mommy? Out.
No, Titan's getting in.
Good, but not the best. I think it's due to the fact of having to wait 20 minutes to eat.
Oh, yeah.
But it definitely will suffice. Oh man. Good morning, guys. We just took Titan and kids really for like their first kind of drive around. Figured Blue Ridge Parkway would be a great thing, but it's super foggy, so we're about to head back down the mountain. See you guys in a bit.
Check it. Check it.
When I first started filming and started trying to do these vlogs, like I mentioned in yesterday's vlog, lighting completely confused the hell out of me. It was the reason why I chose to get like an iPad Pro that shot 4K, because I thought that I could trick it into making better films in the evening. That didn't work. I thought that just getting a fancier camera would make up for like grain and stuff like that. That didn't specifically work either. And finally jumped into lenses, which kind of solved the problem. But I'm inviting you to this adventure of how to light in a place that doesn't get that well of light, or if you're lighting at nighttime or whatever. And we're gonna try out a few different experiments, change the camera around a bit, change the lights around a bit, and see what we get. Change the lens around too. All right, cool, let's go ahead and do this. So to start with, I have right now I'm using a 50mm lens, which allows a lot more light in low light settings. But it also limits me to where I'm at. It's super zoomed in on me. So when I back up to maybe body size, the audio is going to lose its, crispness, which is not ideal. We want good lighting, we want good audio, we want good visuals too. So this is good for this frame, kind of close-ups, heads right here, but it's not ideal for getting body shots or moving around a lot. It does, however, give you a nice bokeh background, meaning the background is nice and blurred out, bringing your subject to the forefront and focusing in. The lights that I have for this right now are, we have our key light, which is, this is where we want a 24 mil so I can help you see a little bit better. Pretty much a $50 aperture light. You can get it off of Amazon, that has nice dimmers in and out. So you can see just kind of lost a lot of, and she's set up on a tripod. I have the tripod set, just a little over, it's still too close to me. I have the tripod and the light just a little above my head, so that I get fairly good lighting on this side of the face, a little bit of darkness on this side. If it was too high up, I'd get those raccoon eyes like this, which isn't really flattering at all. Makes you look like you have bags over your eyes. And then if the light was too low, you would kind of go for like a scary movie campfire effect where you're like, this is a spooky, scary story. Once upon a time in the back of the woods. Which, unless that's what you're going for, that's not what you want. We don't have the light too close to my face because it's blasting out all the detail. It's about, with this light set up pretty high, maybe arm's length to the light. Because the direction of the light is going this way, it's not hitting the wall behind me, meaning that the shadows from this light right here will not hit the background, which is also another thing I had to learn how to deal with. So that's our first light, that's our key light. So we set that first. It's roughly 45 degrees to this way. So here goes the clock, 45, it's right there. The next light I did was the hair light, so kind of a little bit of shine in my, if you don't have 3 lights or you're kind of out and about, I don't think this one's super key. You can find like a window behind you to kind of backlight your hair, but this one is an extra light and it's heavy, so I won't take this on the go. It is, this one's, so, watch your eyes. This is like a LED work light I got at Walmart. You see how much light that takes away? Shoot, shoot. I literally have that guy facing upward towards the ceiling and kind of behind me so that it's lighting the back of my head, but also not the front. You don't get the lighting on this side. That's what I'm going for. The last light is the background light. So you see how this side is kind of dark on this side, but it's lighter on this side. We did that by, we did it with this light. So now you see how my background is just kind of evened out. This light is what made our background lighter on this side. You can light the entire background like that. You see how it's just lit, or you can kind of tilt it to one side. You see how the light's going to that side, or if I tilt the light this way, it's lighting this area. Pretty cool, huh? You always want to light, hold on. If you can, you always want to light your subject and your background separate. The reason for that, or mainly I've found, or two reasons, is if you light your subject like this, you don't get shadows on the wall, and with lighting the background, you're able to separate the subject as well as the background a lot more. Oh, let's see. So I'm going to attempt to change the angle of this and see how long it takes. This is all like I got the lighting down, but the movement and the mobility of the lighting is another thing. So let's go ahead and try that real quick.
Check it.
Just ran out of storage on the memory card, so yeah. I'm going to go ahead and switch over to the 24 mil in about 30 seconds, but I am 5 feet, actually, let me extend my feet, yeah, about 5 feet away from the camera. I think this is fairly flattering. The background is completely smoothed out. That's that bokeh that I was mentioning earlier. The background itself is, I'd say maybe 10 feet. So to achieve this effect, 5 feet away from the camera for the subject, 10 feet away to the background or more to get it kind of blurred out. Now I'm going to move backwards a little bit more, and you'll see that the background itself actually becomes a lot more into focus, kind of scratching off what we wanted with that nice background. It may be what you want though, but here we go. All right, a little bit more back, a little bit further back. Further back, you can start to see the little bit of details in the pictures. And as I move further to the background, most likely, or the background should be in focus as well. You should see that art back there, and that's because the separation. That's because the separation between the subject and the background is like this versus like that. Make sense? Makes sense to me. Okay, last thing we're doing with this lighting setup is I'm going to switch out the 50 mil for the 24 mil so you can see the difference with the exact same lights in the exact same place and see how that affects our image. So I am in the exact same spot I was in just before we switched out the 50 mil. You'll notice a couple of things. The very first thing you'll probably notice is our image got darker, and that's to be expected. The ISO was at 400, but we were using a lens that was 1.8 f-stop, meaning that the amount of light, I'm just going to use this dark part real quick, because we're going to change this in a second. The amount of light it let in was about this. This lens itself lets in about that much light, meaning that we need to adjust by either bringing the lights closer or upping the ISO a little bit. I'm comfortable with upping the ISO to 800. I don't like going above that, so I'm going to stop this, put it up to 800, and we're going to see what that does. All right, so there we have it. We just upped it to 800. We're still a little bit dark, but definitely not as dark as we were before. So let's move the light just a little bit closer. And that's pretty good. So remember with the 50 mil, it was pretty much here. You had like my head and maybe some curls. We're getting so much more in this frame. But you also notice the background isn't as blurred out, that bokeh, because of the depth of field that it gets. It's still really good for me. This one probably allows you more flexibility. Just to show you the depth of field kind of with this same kind of, just to show you the depth of field versus what we just had. Same amount. You can see my entire body, but obviously the background is in focus here. If I do the exact same effect, I get close enough to the camera. Let's see, we were about here with the 50 mil. I'm 1 foot away from the lens. And you can see the background's kind of blurred out too, so you can achieve that effect just the same. Bring the light closer, 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 closer. And we'll bring the light down just a little bit, and there you see it. The lights that I'm using are these. So this is the aperture light, I'll link below, roughly $50. We've got a work light right there. That's like $30. You can pick it up at any Sam's Club. And another aperture light there. Any tripod will do the trick. The only reason you really need a tripod is so that you can get your key light a little bit above your head so that you don't get raccoon eyes and all that stuff. So, all right, so complexity, fairly simple. Fairly simple if you're at home or you just need to set up and you have maybe 10 minutes to set up. On the go, like rolling around everywhere, it might be a little bit harder to do, but definitely perfect if you're looking for a good lighting setup in your house at nighttime. With this, instead of having to depend on like the kitchen lights and things like that are around you that aren't giving you optimal lighting, that are kind of restricting where you would film at, you pretty much can just film anywhere if it's pitch black or not. And that is well worth having. So I will catch you guys next time, and hope you enjoyed it. Subscribe, like, all that. Peace.